Hey guys, it's Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. We're going to continue looking at Lenny today. This is part 2, so we're going to really cover, in the first lesson we made it to the first guitar solo. So we're going to learn the first guitar solo, which is what I just played there. And then there's a short section after that, which is very similar to that we learned in the first video. And that'll take us all the way up to the second solo, which is a little bit longer and we'll take a look at in the next lesson. All right, so let's start with this one. This was got some really nice soloing in it. We're still, now I don't know if I mentioned it in the first lesson, he's got his pickup not quite in the neck pickup. He's basically in the 4th position there. So between the neck pickup and the middle pickup. And that's how you kind of get that snappy, glassy sound that he's got. All right, so we're gonna do, that's how he opens this solo. So we're gonna start with a hammer on from 7 to 9 and slide it to 12. And as soon as you do that, you're gonna do a quick hammer on 9 to 12 again. So we have this. All right, now we're gonna do a hammer 9 to 12 again, slide up to 14. Then do the same lick again, but you're hammering 12 to 14 and slide to 17. So we have this. From there, so we're gonna have you're at 14 here, hammer 17, pull off 14, slide down to 12, and play, now you're gonna pick 14, 12, and then that again. Pick 14 to 12 twice, so we have this. All together. All right, the next phrase sounds like this. So we got a little bit of hybrid picking going on here. So we're gonna start here, the 14th fret on the D string, and hammer 12 to 14 on the G. Now while you do that, move your, basically bar the first 3 strings of the 12th fret. And now you're gonna grab, you just hammer on that 14 right on the G string, you're gonna pick that with the pick, and your middle finger on your picking hand is gonna grab the top string, so the high E string, so we have this. So the last hit there. Now I'm going to start here again on the 14 on the D, and then we're going to climb up again, going 12, 14 on the G with the pick, and the top note is that G hit twice with it. So like this. So all together so far. Now you're still holding this chord, you're going to pick it again, and hammer on 15 on the G, pull back off to 14, and then, so we have this. And then pick 14 twice, 12, and then 14 on the D string 3 times, and end it with the 11th fret on the D. So all together. All right, next phrase. All right, so that one's kind of short. We're just gonna be at the 14th fret there on the D, over to the 12th on the G, and 14. Do a pre-bend and pick it when it's already bent. And then pull off 14 to 12, over to 14 on the D string 3 times. All right, now we have kind of a longer phrase, which is probably the most difficult part of this solo. I'll just go through it real quick. Here we go. All right, so we got a lot of double stops going on there. This is really an improvised thing, so when you get into this stuff note for note, it's kind of difficult. but it's really easy to kind of get the vibe of what he's doing though. So, but there are a lot of like definitive little single note lines here too that you need to pick up. So let's start here with 11-14 on the D. That kind of leads us into this kind of a shuffle feel there. So we have this 11-14 on the D, then quick hammer 12-13 on the G, to 14 on the G, and then do that 12-13 hammer again, over to 14 on the D. So we have this. Then roll over to the 14 on the A, then pick 12 and slide down to 11, then play 14, then 11-14 on the D string. So all together. One more time. Then we have 12, 13, 14 on the G string. Bend up that G string there. And then you're going to roll from across the 12th fret on the B to the 12th fret on the high E string. And then you're going to play 15, 12 on the B string. So this kind of launches into the quick part. So all together so far. All right, now from here, you just kind of need to find the pattern that starts it. So you want to do this. That's kind of what he's doing there. So he's 14 on the high E, and then do a quick hammer pull from 12 to 14, back to 12 on the high E. And then play 15, 12 on the B string. So that's the first lick. Now from there, you're going to go up to 15 and pretty much do same thing on the top. So instead of 14 being the top note, it's 15. Then you still have that hammer pull from 12 to 14. Now we're going to go 15 on the B, 12 on the high E, 12 on the B, back to 12 on the high E. So all together here, we're going to have this coming into this like. All right, now we're gonna just kind of doing a blues scale here thing. That's pulling off 15 to 14 to 12 on the G, over to 14 on the D. All right, and now we start doing these double stops here. Now these double stops are pretty much all 12th fret on the G and the B together, and then 14th fret on the G and the B. All right. I'm going to work you through this, but what you really have to just understand is it's kind of just rotating between those two four. So if I just say 12, it's both of those notes on the B and the G, or 14, both of those notes on the B and G at the 14th fret. So we have, so out of here, we're going to have this. All right, so that's 12s, 14, and then pick them and bend them slightly towards the floor. Then you're going to pick the 14s and pull them off to the 12s. Over to 14 on the D string by itself, but then roll that finger over and grab the 14s on the B and the G. Then back to 14 on the D, then back to the 12s with a slight bend. So all together. All right, now he moves away from the double stops just for a quick little sextuplet lick, which looks like this. So he's gonna get the thumb in there, so he's gonna pull off 14 to 12 on the D string, over to 14 on the A. And then he's gonna hammer 12 to 14 on the D. And then you're gonna grab the low E string at the 12th fret with your thumb and pick that there. So now as you're playing that with your thumb, you're going to come back up and grab these double stops again. And he kind of starts going crazy on them. All right, so what's going on there? We're back to the 12s. over to 14 on the D, then 14 and 12s to, try this. Then do that again from the 14 on the D to 14, 12. Now you keep going back to this 14th you see on, just by itself on the D string. Then roll over to the 14s on the, then back to the D string, 14, the 12s, back to the D string, and back to the 14s. So we have this. All right, so far we have this coming out of that little we're back to the 14s, 14 on the D, and then we're going to end it with this. So that's the 12s, 14, 14 slightly bent, and then 14s, 12, then. So yeah, it's a lot. It's hard to memorize stuff it's very similar. Everything's very close to each other. So that's, you can really know it by ear, but you can try to trace it down. Let me play through it really slowly for you, just with the double stop part. So here we go. And then we're going to end this whole double stop section like this. That's the 12s. Then you're going to roll 14 on the D to 14 on the A, back to the 14 on the D, a little vibrato there, and then you end it real quick with the 12th fret on the G. All right, next phrase. All right, so a little bit easier to understand here. 12, 14 on the B, over to 12 on the high E. Then 15 on the high E, 12 on the B, bend to the 14th fret on the G string, pull off to 12. 14 twice on the D string, and then that 11th fret on the D. So we have this. And then he quickly grabs that little E minor arpeggio there, across the 12th fret on the G, B, and the high E string. And just slide that down. All right, next phrase sounds like this. All right, so that's basically the end of the solo there. So we're gonna have sliding into the 12th fret on the B and the high E string. Then the 14s that we did before, and the 12s to the 14th fret on the D string, played twice. All right, and now we're going to start this kind of like that little shuffle feel again. All right, so what's going on there? We have 11, 14 on the D string to 12 on the low E. Then you're going to basically play the 11th fret on the D and the 12th fret on the G. Pick those together and slide them up one fret. Then grab the 14th fret there, or you can just scoot up and grab the 14 with your third finger. Then do a quick hammer 12 to 13. Over to 14 on the D and 14 on the A, back to 12 on the D. So this is where we start that up. All right, so when we get there, we'll just get to there first. We have this. All right, one more time. All right, now that little kind of repeated lick, there's kind of a little descending line in there. All right, so from there, we have 14 on the A to 12 on the D. And then 12 on the A to 14 on the D. To 11 on the A, 14 on the D, Keep that feel, that shuffle feel going. And then 11 on the A to 12 on the D. Now I'll go over to a 12. This is kind of how I play this, how I finger it at least. 12th fret on the A to 12th on the G. Back to the 12 on the A real quick. Then jump up here with your first finger. That's the bend there at the 12th fret on the G. Then pick 12 again, and then 12 real quick. So, and then we have these series of sextuplet licks. It looks like this. Takes us back into the chord progression. So that is pulling off 14 to 12 on the D to 14 on the A, then 13, 12, slide down to 10. So that's the first sextuplet. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, then slide 12 to 14 on the A. Sorry. To 12 on the D. Hammer 12 to 14. And then pick 12 again. So all together. All right, now we get to this kind of part that leads us back to that chord progression, basically, until we get to the second solo. So let me play this section for you real quick. All right, that takes us to the second solo. So more of the same kind of, just a little bit different feels as before. So we have the low E open, that same chord as the beginning. You've seen this before. Now when he kind of goes into some of these fills, he does a backwards rake across the muted strings. So he's got his fingers across the strings and just doing a kind of a, so you might hear that, and that's what's going on there. So we have 7, slide into 9, 7 on the A, slide into 11, 9 on the D, and then quick little hammer pull, 9, 11 on the G string, 11 on the D, hammer 9 to 11 on the A, back to 9 on the D, so this. Back to the same kind of melodic figure. And then we're back. The same major 6 chord that we did before. But when we get up here, where we're playing here, this is basically the note on the low E string is the 7th fret. Then it's the 10th fret shape here. And then here he has a little fill. All right, so that's a cool one. So we're gonna play 9 on the G, 10 on the B. Then keep the 10 there, but you're gonna play 11 on the G string now. And then go back to the 9, and this time do a quick little hammer pull between the 11 and the 9 on the G string. So we have this. Over to 12 on the D. Back to the first shape here, the 9 on the G, 10 on the B. Then 12 on the D again. And then quickly, you're gonna slide 12 to 14 on the A, 12 on the D, and then come back and grab the chord shape here with the low notes at the 3rd fret of the low E string. kind of like we played earlier in the song, and then that's sliding into 9 on the low E, 7 on the A, hammering 7 to 9, low E open, the harmonics at the 12th fret on the B and the high E together, then back to the major 6 chord shape off of the low E string 5th fret, but he doesn't actually play it here, he just kind of picks across it, and then he goes into the second solo, which we'll take a look at in the next lesson. I'll see you then.